Hi, it's Dr. Games, and today I wanted to talk you through how I go about consolidating a little bit of my broke from being a young kid. Broke through there, I'm sorry. I wanted to talk to you about how I consolidate DVDs onto Blu-rays. And as you know from some of my other videos that I've done about Blu-ray creation, editing, etc., I like to take my Blu-rays and put the personal archival copies of the DVDs on Blu-rays. And here I will show you what that looks like and how I go about doing that process. So the important thing to know is that when you put them on the Blu-ray, you don't have to go in at 1920 by 1080 either in PAL or NTSC format. You can actually do them in original PAL or NTSC format, and you can get a heck of a lot more DVDs on a single Blu-ray than you can if you put it at the upscaled size. And then looking at the audio, you can actually put it in regular uncompressed wave format. That's important, uncompressed, or you can do Dolby Digital or all these other things. We're going to stick today with Dolby Digital. Notice it says max up to 5.1. We're actually going to do stereo today, and I'm going to talk about that in a second. So what I did, and I'll just show you I put them on. Our friends at Black Oak Studios provided me with a couple of DVDs for demo today. One was 7 Nuts for 7 Squirrels, and the other one is Shady. And I put those, as I often do, on a dummy Blu-ray that has all of the titles on there and the menu and everything all else, but just a much shorter video. All the same characteristics of the final one, but much shorter so that it works. You can work with it easier. And again, this is just a dummy that we'll use later. Then what I do is I copy the dummy Blu-ray, and I put both folders, BD, MV, and certificate, into the final Blu-ray, which is going to be then edited. We'll get to that in a second. Notice that to produce this, I've got a Slug 1 video and Slug 2. They have to be two separate videos when you put them into your Blu-ray, because otherwise a lot of packages figure out ways of combining things or cross-indexing, etc., and then you don't have the two separate files going. That's important. That's very important for the later phase. Now, you don't actually have to produce two entirely different things. I just copied to Slug 1 and made Slug 2, and the same with the audio for it. The subtitles don't seem to matter, but the subtitles are very you don't have to have very much in terms of the subtitle file, but there has to be some in there so that it records everything appropriately on the disc. So the programs we're going to use, and I'll just go through and describe those ones. PgcDemux. We're going to talk about G-Spot, and then I was going to use Subtitle Creator, but there's a bit of a problem with it. Then we're going to do BD Sub to Sub, then TsMuxer, and finally BDEdit to get our final product. So the first thing you're going to want to do is you're going to demux those DVDs, and in this particular case I've got you pick out the IFO file, and what you can do, especially if you've got a copy-free DVD, and I'm assuming right now you've got a copy-free version of it, I just sort by the size, and the biggest one is typically the one that is going to have the main movie in it. If they're tricking you beyond that, then, well, you're probably not using a copy-free version at that point, right? And then I went ahead and I have a separate location where I did all my demuxing. Let's see if I can find it. Yeah, my demuxes. So I just put those over. I've got it on a separate drive. This original one was on the T drive, and then I put it on the K drive. But I'll show you. I'll show you what the setup looks like. So I go here, I go to video, I go to demuxes, and let's see. I'm doing shady. So I would put it in Shady Oaks. Now again, I've already done this, but I'll show you what the settings look like. So by PGC, demux video stream, you want to do that. You want to demux all the audio streams, the sub-pick streams. Doesn't really matter whether you do cell times or not, unless you're going to import that later on when we go ahead and use TsMuxer. And I just create a log file in case there's an issue. Notice that it's showing that it's 1 hour, 53 minutes, 29 seconds. As you know, I like to keep track of that kinds of stuff. So in this particular case, I scribbled that down, and we're going to confirm that a little bit later too. And then I would go ahead and process, click, and it does. It takes about 3 minutes or less to do that. So I've actually done that in both cases already. So I demuxed those things. And now what you want to do is you're going to use G-Spot, which is its relatively old program, but it's pretty good for determining things, especially when you're talking about DVDs. So in this particular case, I did the shady. I looked at that M2V, which is just the video stream. It looked at it, and you know, good to go. 1 hour, 53 minutes, 37 seconds. That makes me happy. And then the other thing you want to do is, and just make sure that the frames per second and everything are good. So frames per second is 29.97. That's important, remember, because we were talking about fields per second was 59, just exactly as it was showing us on the specifications for Blu-Ray. And then we're going to do the same thing with the audio. And you will notice it's thinking its way through, thinking. And what does it tell us? It's, in this particular case, it's 321, which is 5.1. It's AC3. And so when we do our dummy version of the Blu-ray, we should make sure that that particular one's at 5.1, etc. So you get the idea. You want to make sure that things match up. And I did the same thing for 7 nuts for 7 squirrels, and that's 1 hour and 30 minutes and 32 seconds. Well, yeah, 32 seconds long. So that is the next thing we do. And then what you find out is that you cannot, TsMuxer will not take, I will demonstrate to you. Some places, let's go to video and demuxes. And I'll just do 7 nuts for 7 squirrels. So it will take the Dolby sound, no problem. It will take the 2MV video stream, no problem. But now if I take the original sub-pictures that came out, which was sub-pictures 20, it can't do it. It can't figure it out. You know why? Because it wants the Blu-ray version of that. So to do that, you wanted to do Blu-ray sub-to-sub, which is this amazing conversion program. So let's try, guess what I've been doing already. So let's try to go ahead and do that sub-picture as well. We open it up and oops, it doesn't work. What it wants to open up is, it wants to open up a IDX file. So originally what I had done, I'm just going to show you this. This doesn't actually, well, it works okay, kind of, sort of. So let's do Shady Oak, Subpicture, Sub 20. So it loads them all up. But the problem is, and there's things you can do to go in and try to modify this. One of the things you can do, first, I'm doing NTSC, so you can put it on a NTSC background. But one of the things you can do is you can open a palette up. You'll notice that then it changes that. And theoretically, we could apply this to everything if we go here and go edit all and set that, and then theoretically it would, but notice it doesn't quite do what you imagined it would do. So I exported it, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So that it seems like it should work, but in actuality what you can do is you could actually go through and individually for all billion, for all of them, you could go in and apply the you could go in and apply the whole thing, but I recommend against that. There's a much easier way to do it, and the easier way is one of my favorite programs, MeGui. And you go into Tools and you go into VobSubber, and you do the same thing you did. Oops, you don't want to do that though. Let's go to Recent Places. Let's go to maybe let's do that one. Demuxes. All right, hang on a sec. Let's go into our Black Oak and let's go into Shady Oaks, and we will pick out the appropriate one. In our particular case, we're going to select English, and then we're going to pick the location where we're going to do it at, and it produces the VobSub. So that's what I did. And when you do that, now you can load the IDX version of it. So we'll go ahead and load. This is the one that we did with the other program that's multicolored. It has some warnings to it. So what I would say is, even though it is the same resolution, go ahead and click resolution to that. It's not going to change it any, but it's going to record it. And then I'm going to go ahead and change the frame rate from 29 to 29, and because that will record that with the final version of it, I click OK, and then it's got the same things, and I'm look all the way through, and notice now that it's got the right colors for us. Right, it's got the right colors. And then you want to put output format in SUP Blu-ray disc. And then the way you get there is you would export it, and then it would do it. But guess what I did? I've already done that for you. And so now what I will do is I will add our Blu-ray sub-pictures, which, by the way, look pretty similar in size to the original ones that were done for. And it's also, this is a sequence of pictures. This is a sequence of pictures. It looks very similar. So we open that up, and the other thing I like to do at this point is change it to English as the language, and that's going to be important later because that helps us figure out which file we're using, and I'll show you that. I pick where I'm going to put it. I'm not going to do as TsMuxer, I'm going to do as Blu-ray, and we will go ahead and I'll put that over in my location where it's at, which is here, and Black Oak Studios. And in this particular case, we're doing the 7 nuts for 7 squirrels, which I have set up already. And notice I'm going from the K drive over to the T drive. That's important because that will make life easier. I would avoid conflicts, IO conflicts, and I start muxing. And it takes literally about 3 minutes, but I've already done that. And now at this point I have, and I would do the same thing with Shady. And what do I have? But I have Blu-Rays, and I've got a single stream, and I have a single clip file. So what we're going to want to do in that final file, I'm going to open this up in a new window so you can see it. I am going to go in and I'm going to swap out. I'm going to swap out the I'm going to swap out 0 and 2 because those are the ones that end up being the different ones. So I will show you that. So 7 nuts. And what we would do in this particular case, and I actually have these both on the same drive because it just makes life easier. You just slide it over, it disappears from here, and there's really no movement. It's super quick. But just make sure that, remember, one of them is going to be labeled as, they're all going to be labeled as 0000. So depending on which one is your menu, and I'll show you the menu one here. So 1 is the menu, right? And this is 000, and this is 0002, all right? So I have already moved them around, and this one just needs to be changed to 0002. So let's do that. And we'll do the same thing with our clips, and this one's already done. And notice I moved them over, so we've got the same thing. A double check on that too is that this one is 7747 is slightly shorter, and that's this one slightly shorter than the one that's 153 and 61. And now that those have been moved over, now we just have to go and use BDEdit to ensure that everything matches up. And in actuality, I've already got BDEdit running. And let me show you what you do. So we go here, we notice one's a movie, we know that that's a movie, we know that that is the menu. So we go to this first one, and we're going to head over to the playlist. The clip info is not going to tell you anything any differently. But the playlist is where we're going to make our mods. So the first one I've already done, and I will show you how that works. So the video, no changes on the video, it's good. Then for the audio, I had to change it multi-channel 48 English, and then the same thing with my graphics, so the English version. So I'll show you how I did. I will go through the process here with number 2, so we're going to read that in. Video good, 480i, 29.97. Audio, okay, so this isn't the right one because look, it doesn't have the language with it. That's part of why I want to do that. So we'll add in our English version. We'll get rid of that. We'll do the same to the presentation graphics. We'll add in the correct one, which is the English one. We'll get rid of the old one and save. Always save. Okay, so now what we've done is we've confirmed that the video is correct. We've got the audio correct, English. We've got the subtitles correct. And dun dun dun, we want to save, but there's one more thing we want to do. Look at what the length of it is. It's still that original short thing. So we know in this particular case, let's go back to 1, or well, to 0 in this particular case, which is our first movie. Notice that we've got that one set at 130, and I shaved a couple seconds off. You don't want to ever get off into hyperspace off on your thing, so I always just shave just a fraction of time off the end, and that's okay if we miss a couple. As long as you take a couple seconds off, actually, this could be 1:30:30. In this particular case, though, it's way earlier. It's only 7 minutes long, so we don't want to do that. So you want to do, right now it's set up read only. You want to go to edit mode, and we're going to change this length for this one to 153.30. So there we'll go. The first one. So whoops. See, this is hard. So 01. Easy for me to do. Oh, out time. I'm sorry. Look at that. So even Dr. Games got that part screwed up. So 01, 53, and we'll do it at 30. So just the last 7 seconds, and we'll zero that out at the end there. All right, now, so it's showing 153.28 something because it doesn't come in right away. And now we can save it, and now we're good to go. So save, and that's it. So I just wanted to show you that, because it's easy as you get in the midst of all that to forget to do the little things. And I also, at this point, I think I can show you the slug to see what it looks like. It's just so you can see what the and I think what I'm going to do too is I'll put those slug files that you can use for your own Blu-ray slug out on a website, out of my commercial website, so you can pull that down if you want to. But you can see there it is right there. The titles work, and I can turn the subtitles on or off. You know, so that's all set up. And again, it's set up at 780 by 720 by 480, so it's 480i already. There you go. So that's about it. Thank you all very much. And I don't want to upgrade to WinDVD Pro 12. And that's it. And thank you all very much. And I would appreciate if you would subscribe. So thank you.